And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Online. It's been an interesting couple of days. We've had Stiverne live and exclusive on BWTM, and he's been talking about his big fight. He announced the fight with Joe Joyce. So now we have with us tonight, can you believe it? We've got the promoter or the manager of Joe Joyce, Sam Jones, in the house. So this all happened by Stiverne did an interview, and from after the interview, Sam tweeted that he tweeted and he disagreed with what Stiverne had to say. And I said, you know what? Come on the show and tell us what's going on from your point of view. It's only fair. Stiverne's had his say twice. So now let's get Sam in the room, get to know who Sam Jones is, and more about Joe Joyce and Team Joyce. So let's get it. Bring it over to Sam. Sam, good evening or good afternoon over in the States.
Good afternoon. How are you? It's
I'm good.
25 past 1.
25 past 1. Vegas time?
Big Bear, California. Cali time.
California, great. Let's get the volume up for you there. Let's make sure that everyone can hear you nice and loud and clear. Perfect. Nice and loud. Now, got you there. So you are Sam Jones, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I hope so.
Okay, Sam. So tell us a little bit about you and how you're connected with Joe Joyce. For those people who don't know,
I'm Joe's manager. I've managed him since before he turned pro. Been with him from the beginning. Started a management company with it was at the time David Hayes' manager, Adam Morley. We kind of joined together and made S-Jam Boxing, where we've got quite I'd say a successful company.
Of course, recently we've heard that Joe Joyce now has joined with Al Heyman. How did that come about?
So yeah, that was a decision we made together to get look, Joe's career is a little different to your normal guy that will turn pro, because Joe's obviously, people make a big deal of his age, but he needs to be on the fast track, but not. I wouldn't even call it a fast track. I'd just say you need to work smarter for Joe. Like, he has to have the right fights. Like, his debut said it all. Like, Ian Lewison, people made a lot of, he's fat and whatnot. But Ian Lewison was coming off an 11-round TKO loss to Dylan White for the British title, retired on his stool. And Joe Joyce took him out with one arm in the 9th round, 8th or 9th round in his professional debut. So ever since then, we tried to progress, but it's not all easy. Like, it's been hard. Like, it's been hard to convince people to take him on. But I think since we've come to the States, we've made progression.
So okay, we know that he was with one trainer. Can you remind me what his trainer's name was again? Sorry,
his name was Ismail Salas.
Of course, I was confused Ismail Salas with another trainer, so I want to make sure I get the right name. It's Ismail Salas, who's with, of course, a very good trainer. And then he moved from one good trainer to another good trainer in Abel Sanchez. What was the decision to take him to Big Bear?
The reason behind it was Salas. We had a deal when Joe was with David. We trained in the Haymaker gym, so we got a deal. Basically, he could train Joe Joyce, which is, we're not going to. If you're turning over as a professional, you're not going to turn down a guy who's trained 19 world champions. Salas is a world class coach. He got plenty of time, Joe, but he was never obviously the priority. The priority was David Hay and obviously Jorge Linares at the time. So that was the reason why we went to Vegas for Joe's first professional camp, because he was training Linares, I believe, for the Luke. I'm trying to remember, I've slept a few times since then. Luke Campbell. So we went there to join the camp, Linares' camp, and sparring for Joe and prepare for Ian Lewison.
Right. Now, I'm not going to try and cross the dates, because obviously between you guys were preparing for your first fight against Lewison And of course, you come across Stiverne. Stiverne was preparing to fight Brazil.
Dominic Brazil. He was prepared.
Yes.
Stiverne was mandatory. Stiverne was, I think, ranked number 2 by the WBC at the time. I'm not sure, 1, 2, or 3. And I think was it Luis Ortiz or Povetkin may have failed a drug test.
Yes.
And then Stiverne got made mandatory for the to fight Wilder.
Of course.
So then I believe I need to get a life remembering all this. Dominic Brazil then went.
Yes, Stiverne was going to fight Brazil, and
Dominic
then
Brazil had to fight Eric Molina.
Yes, and in Stiverne, then they mandated for Wilder and Stiverne 2 to fight.
Yes. So that was the Stiverne Wilder 2 fight. That's how that came about, and that only happened in a space of 2 weeks.
Yes, because we were following that story very closely. Now, tell us how, because I heard the story that Joe Joyce was coming to America. I heard that because I heard David Hayes saying it in an interview.
Yeah, he said it at a press conference. He said it at a press conference. So basically,
when he
what happened?
Go ahead.
So Dewan Blake, I don't know if you ever heard of him. Dewan Blake is a friend of mine. He's Floyd Mayweather's cousin.
Right.
So I asked him. I said, because in Vegas, sparring is impossible to get hold of unless you pay for it or you organize it way in advance. So we were going to Vegas anyway. We had a couple of sparring partners. One was a kickboxer. A world champion kickboxer, I forget his name, was a German guy, and he came over to spar. Salas was organising it. But Dewan Blake told me Stiverne was in camp for Brazil at the time. So we thought, why not? So Dewan Blake got in contact, said, look, go and spar Stiverne. He needs the work. I'm sure he'll need the work. So it was not like ever planned we're going to go there and spar Stiverne. Stiverne was like, he was being set up. That's a load of rubbish. We was going there to... We don't. Joe's never took a penny off anyone for sparring. Never. Joe's nobody's sparring partner. We didn't do it with Tyson Fury. We didn't do it with anybody. Joe's no one's sparring partner. We do it because heavyweight sparring is hard to come by. You ask any trainer in the world, heavyweight sparring is hard to come by. Now, let me ask you one thing. If you're Bermane Stiverne's coach, and he was sparring this South African guy, and I don't want to disrespect him, but he was too big to get out of his own way. He threw 3 punches around, and he was in. If people think Joe's slow, this guy was in treacle. He was the slowest fighter I've ever seen in my life. And Stiverne was
you're talking about Ruan Visser. Go ahead.
Ruan Visser, the ginger guy from
Yes.
South Africa. So if you're Bermane Stiverne's coach and you have Joe Joyce at your disposal for free, who are you going to spar to prepare you for Dominic? I'm asking any person with a brain who's going to answer. They're going to all say Joe Joyce because I'm not saying he's the same as Dominic Brazil, but he brings it. Do you know what I mean? They both bring it. Dominic's got a big set of bollocks on him, and he brings it. So it's common sense. So when Stiverne was saying he decided, why is Joe gone to spar Brazil? I'll get to that, but we wanted to continue sparring Stiverne, but after the first 2 sessions, Stiverne's trainer told us you're surplus the requirements. We don't need you anymore. So we're not going to hang about there. We're going to go to LA anyway, which was already planned, and spar Dominic Brazil because Dominic wants the work. Dominic needs the work, and Joe's free. Joe's a free of charge. We're preparing for his pro debut. We're free. So he's talking nonsense. We were never kicked out the gym. That is not Stiverne's gym either. It's the City Boxing Club. It was where Stiverne was preparing, but his preparation for that fight was horrendous.
Talk to us why you said that. Now, there's lots of things to break down about this. The comment that Joe Joyce made about knocking his dreadlocks off. This is a comment that's been going around a lot. And
punched his dreadlocks off.
Yes. So can you talk to us about that for a second?
Right. I don't really want to go into that because, excuse me, you're not meant to. There's a rule in sparring, in boxing. What happens in sparring stays in sparring. The only reason why Joe said that is because Stiverne came out of the 2 spars after, look, there was 15 witnesses there. We know what happened. I'm not saying, but I'm saying Stiverne never landed 1 punch on Joe. And he said, I got out there and schooled him. Now, if you're Bermane Stiverne's coach and Stiverne's saying, his coach told him to take it easy on Joe and just move around. How is that preparing you for a world title shot or a fight against Dominic Breazeale? Dominic Breazeale isn't going to come and play tiddlywinks with you. Do you understand what I mean? Dominic Breazeale is going in there to punch your face in. So Bermain Stiverne is chatting shit.
Okay. I wasn't there one way or the other, so I don't know. Obviously, you said there's witnesses to it. It's kind of interesting because the top of the bill is another sparring story. DeGale said he dealt with Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. said he dealt with DeGale.
At the end of the day, what does sparring really mean? It means nothing. We never said it meant anything. When Joe walked into the gym, I even said to Joe, because Joe's just like in his own world. Joe, if you ever met Joe, Joe's in his own world. I said, Joe, go and shake Stiverne's hand and say thank you for having me, and like be respectful. He's a former champion. Be respectful. And Bermain Stiverne didn't even look at him. He like held his hand there. He's just the rudest guy I've ever met in my life, if I'm honest. But as I say, like I don't even think he likes himself, Stiverne. Like I don't. I think he has he seemed all right with you. I think you're the only guy on the planet he likes. The guy's the moodiest guy. So I've got no. When people keep saying you've got a problem with it, I haven't got a problem with him. What I do have a problem with him saying is he schooled Joe and Joe's RoboCop. Well, you didn't seem to get out of the way of RoboCop's punches, did you? Do you know what I mean? His big meaty head. Do you know what I mean? It's a huge target, Stiverne's head. Big swelt head.
So, from what you seem to be pretty aggravated by what's been said here. Now,
no, I'm not aggravated at all. But like, all I know is same with Eubank and DeGale. Same with Eubank and DeGale. All will be revealed on fight night. Do you understand what I mean? Sparring doesn't mean anything. Sparring means absolutely nothing. Yeah, and this is another thing that did irritate me. Stiverne said we were trying to film the spar. Again, that's total bullshit. No, Joe would never. If we want to record it, we would ask Stiverne. Do you know what I mean? We'd ask Bermain, do you mind if we film it? We would never try and secret record because that's how you get a bad reputation in boxing. Everybody knows that. You're not meant to. That's disrespectful. What Salas was doing, and Salas was sitting on the top, like on the top rope. Salas was like in the corner. You know Salas, he's like 4'10". So he's sat on the corner, so you can't even see him. And Ashley Theophane was sat on the ropes as well. And Ashley Theophane was playing on his phone as well. I think Ashley was texting a chick. I don't know what Ashley was doing, but he was texting somebody. Salas was sat on the top rope. Joe was in the middle of sparring Stiverne. Stiverne stopped. And then he walked up to Salas and said, excuse me, he walked up to Salas and said, stop recording the sparring. And Salas, in these words, I won't say exactly what, but he basically said something along the lines of suck my nuts to Stiverne. We're not recording. We are recording. We're timekeeping. Because in that gym, there's no buzzer. It's an old gym. It's an old gym like in the middle of Las Vegas, City Atlantic boxing gym. There's one timer, and we were in the other ring because Stiverne didn't want to spar on the hard one. He wanted to spar on the spongy canvas to obviously slow his sparring partners down. Don't know how that's going to help you, but again, so that's how that happened. And we said we're not filming the sparring. He even said to Ashley Theophane, he said, "Stop filming." And Ashley was like, "I'm not filming, Bermain. You know me. Like, I think they're friends from the Mayweather gym." So he's just a very paranoid, angry individual.
Okay. So the situation was, I think there are some things in the media that are untrue, and that was said that were untrue. I mean, there's some quotes that were said, and I know that he hadn't said anything to anybody else, because you've rightly said that he doesn't really talk to anybody else. I'm the only person he used to like. So
you're the only person in the world he likes. You're the only person he talks to. So I do believe he never said those quotes because he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, because he said something like he's going to knock out Joyce, and then he's going to go after Joshua after. That's not true. He didn't say that. Yeah,
I don't know. Don King might have said so. All I know is I believe Stiverne is going to come and, as I say, Stiverne's last fight was a car crash. He got knocked out, and obviously he's a living, breathing meme now, isn't he, Stiverne? He is. You know he is.
Yeah,
he's a meme.
Of course,
some Matrix style meme. Do you know what I mean? Like the last time he was doing some like doing the what's that thing called when you try and leap under the stick?
The limbo dance.
The limbo dance. Yeah, one of them. He was in that kind of shape underneath the. So Stiverne, if any I'm sure any fighter wants to come and get their respect. So I believe Stiverne's going to come and try and bring it. I do, and I've said some stuff about Stiverne like probably in the heat of the moment and stuff. But he's a former world champion, and he took Deontay Wilder 12 rounds. Any man that can take Deontay Wilder's licks for 12 rounds is worthy of being in the ring at world level.
So, all right, that's fine, and that sounds great. Now, there were some things said back and forth. Joyce said he was again, I don't know if Joyce did say this or it's boxing media. I can never tell because boxing media sometimes can be quite classless and people add things in that people said and didn't say. So
they twist words. The only time Joe was minorly disrespectful about Stiverne was when Bermain Stiverne came onto your show and said, "Oh, he's stiff. He's this, he's that." He did. He came on after he's off and he was chatting his nonsense on your on your show.
Yeah.
And Joe didn't like it because Joe showed him nothing but respect. And the only reason why we went to spar Dominic Brazil, otherwise we would have stayed in Vegas, but we always were going to to LA because to join up with Salas with Linares.
Right.
So we were always going to go there, but we would have stayed an extra couple of days to get the extra work in with Bermain. But Bermain's coach came up to me personally and said, "No, thank you, no more." Now, if you're preparing for Dominic Brazil and you've got Joe Joyce at your disposal and you're saying you don't need, in my eyes, and I know you know your boxing, there's something very wrong there, isn't there?
Well, let me ask you another question, and it's only a question that comes to my mind because he not only mentioned it, but it's something I want to hear your opinion on. You did say you were going to see Dominic Brazil anyway, but let me ask you this question. Let's just do role reverse a second. Let's put
no. Wait. We weren't originally going to spar Brazil. Brazil's coach rang. I think his name's Manny Robles.
Okay.
So he rang. Jorge Capatito,
yes,
who was Salas's assistant, rang him because he knew he trained Dominic.
Right.
He said, "Look, we need some sparring. We're coming to LA. We need some sparring. Bermain Stiverne don't want to spar us no more. Do you want to spar him?" That's the only reason why. Otherwise, we would have carried on sparring Bermain Stiverne and we would not have sparred Dominic Brazil.
Okay, but all right, that's fine. So you're saying the reason why you wait to get the sparring with Brazil, you're already in America.
Yes.
Let's get some quality sparring with another quality fighter because
yes.
Stiverne didn't want that. Okay,
yes.
From your side of things, that to you guys it makes sense. Now, let's put Joe Joyce in that situation, and again, it was a similar situation. If then Stiverne had gone and sparred with Joyce's opponent, then how would you have responded to that in your camps?
Well, that wouldn't have happened because we're not going to turn down free world-class sparring.
So there you go. So you answered that one.
So there's no answer to that. Like, you don't turn down in heavy. You ask anybody in Las Vegas. I've spent a lot of time there. You try and get hold of sparring in Las Vegas. It's near on impossible. You have to pay a lot of money. But Joe Joyce, we went there and we said we'd spar Bermain Stiverne at his disposal free of charge. Because in fairness to Bermain Stiverne, he's better than Ian Lewison. Similar height. Perfect sparring for Joe. So we're grateful. We're very grateful for the opportunity to spar Bermain Stiverne in his camp. But he declined the sparring on the third day. You only have to use your brain to add up the reasons why he doesn't want to spar Joe for the last. And that's a fact. Ask his trainer personally came up to me.
Don House.
No, yeah, exactly. No more sparring. He wants to spar the big ginger guy.
Visser. Okay. Right. Okay.
Visser.
Right. Okay. So let's talk. Okay. So we put the sparring to one side for a second. Let's actually look at this fight. Let's talk about this fight a bit more. Now, Joe comes off an impressive win against Joe Hanks.
Yep.
Last fight. Joe Hanks hadn't fought for a while. And now you've got Stiverne, who hasn't fought for a while. Now, I know you guys were there was talk about you fighting Ortiz. What happened with that situation?
Listen, with Luis Ortiz, Both camps want the fight, 100%. I spoke to Luis Ortiz myself and his manager. They're happy to fight Joe. Now, they have their own plan laid out for this year. So the plan is to fight him towards the end of the year. They both remain obviously on track. I believe 90% they're going to fight this year. They're both with Al Heyman. They're both advised by Al Heyman. The fight will happen this year, providing I think Joe will probably have, providing he gets, I don't want to disrespect Stiverne that way, so providing he gets through Stiverne, I think he'll probably have one more, and then he'll fight Luis Ortiz in September time, hopefully in the UK.
Okay, so let's talk about this fight a bit more. The logic behind this fight. Who reached out to who? Was it Stiverne that reached out to you guys, or you guys reached out to Stiverne?
Nah. So what it was, I'm just being open and honest. We originally had Duhaupas lined up, Johan Duhaupas lined up, which is a good fight for Joe. But he decided he didn't want to fight him last minute. We also approached Christian Hammer, and I think Christian Hammer would rather catch the plague than fight Joe. Was basically the response of that. So that was the end of that. And then it was me. This is why, if anything goes wrong in this fight, and I made a bad judgment of the fight, and Stiverne somehow manages to win, which I don't believe I don't believe he will, because I believe that I am a different animal. So if it happens, I want responsibility, because I said to Joe's promoter, I said, go and get Bermain Stiverne for Joe. He's a big name. And his last fight is against Deontay Wilder. He's fought Deontay Wilder 2 times in his last 3 fights. So anyone that says this isn't a step up, they don't know what they're talking about. This is a massive step up. This is Joe's 8th professional fight. People need to take that into consideration. 8th professional fight. And Stiverne is a wounded animal. And a wounded animal is the dangerous animal.
Okay, so you decide to go. So you set up the negotiations between Don King.
I basically, I leave that to Richard Schaefer. I only get involved if I have to. So Richard Schaefer and Al Heyman obviously contacted Don King, and credit to Stiverne, he said yes straight away. So he needs respect for that, Stiverne. Do you know what I mean? Because your first comeback fight against Joe Joyce, I don't know what he's taking, Stiverne, but he's grown a 3rd bollock.
Yeah, that's. I mean, a lot of people have. It's interesting because if you talk to all through the time I've been talking to Stiverne, the 2 fights that people talk about, and I'll come back to you about Miller, is Joe Joyce and Miller. They're the 2 fights that people want to see Stiverne in. But now the fight's been made for Joe Joyce. Stiverne's a bum.
This is what in boxing, in boxing, you can't never win. You can never win. Floyd Mayweather, you look at his career. Every time he fought Canelo, he's too young. He fought Shane Mosley, too old. He schooled Robert Guerrero after he beat Andre Berto. Robert Guerrero's finished. How can he be finished coming off his career best win? Victor Ortiz coming off his career best win. You could go on and on and on and on. You can never win in boxing. If Joe knocks out Bermain Stiverne like what I expect him to, and do a number on him, Bermain Stiverne's too old. He's a shot fighter. If Bermain Stiverne beats Joe Joyce is shit. He's 7-0 and he's green. He's too green. So Bermain Stiverne's still shit and he beat a novice. You can never win in boxing. It's a fact. You can never win. You can't please everyone. Do you know what a lot of people were saying to me? They were stopping me. Sam, make the Bermain Stiverne fight. It's a great fight. There's a bit of beef there. Make the fight. It's happened, and I believe it's been more of a positive reaction than a negative reaction. But obviously, you get the Barry from Barnsley's saying on their settee saying, Joe Joyce should be fighting someone better than that. Yeah, he's 7 fights into his professional career and he's taking on a former heavyweight champion that can punch. The last thing you lose in boxing is your punch. Okay,
but the critics would say, well, you're taking the Stiverne fight on because he hasn't fought actively. He hasn't been active for a long time. So that's what critics will say.
100%, and we're prepared for it. But what I'm saying is, a prime Bermain Stiverne, whether he's still in his prime, whether he regains his prime, a prime Bermain Stiverne, yeah, when he knocked out Chris Arreola, is that correct? Probably when he beat Chris Arreola.
Probably, yeah.
Fast hands, good performance, and Chris Arreola he's got a chin like a slab of cement, so he must be able to crack Stiverne.
Yeah.
So credit to him there. But I believe a prime Stiverne couldn't be a zero-fight Joe Joyce.
You got to back him out, didn't you? I don't expect you to say anything different.
I don't believe so. I just don't believe Joe Joyce his nuts is too big, he hits too hard, and his engine's too much. Do you understand what I mean? I'm not saying Joe's not beatable. Every heavyweight boxer every fighter is beatable, but mainly in the heavyweights division. You only have to look at Hasim Ratman when he took out Lennox Lewis. Nobody expected that. Tyson when he got knocked out by Buster Douglas. You can never predict heavyweight boxing. Do you know what I mean? It's dangerous. Yeah. It's very, very dangerous. But I just don't believe Stiverne on his best day can beat Joe Joyce. I just don't believe that in my heart.
I think in an analysis of this fight, I've said it's Joe Joyce's work rate and kind of going to try and overwhelm Stiverne versus Stiverne having to be able to catch Joyce in between him throwing them shots for him to stand any chance of winning the fight. Because
the thing is with Stiverne, right? He's not going to outpoint Joe Joyce, and if he thinks that, he's on some drug that I don't know has been invented yet. So he knows he has to knock Joe out. He knows he has to, because Joe's punch output is too much. He's got longer arms. Stiverne's got arms like a T-Rex. He won't be able to get. Listen, you're in boxing. You're in a swimming pool. You're gonna get wet, aren't you? It's the same. Going swimming, you're gonna get wet. So Joe's prepared to. At the elite level, at the world-class level, you're going to get hit. So, it's, as I say, I just don't... I think as soon as Joe lands on Bermane Stiverne's chin, he's going to... As I say, I think he's going to feel like the whole ceiling's coming down on him.
He did give Joe Joyce credit. He did say he was a good fighter in the interview. He also said that Joyce is physically stronger than Wilder. That's interesting.
Yeah, but that's a fact. I'm not saying Joe hits harder than Wilder, because Wilder, you could take him to a local zoo and he'd put a zoo animal asleep if he leant over the fence and cracked one of them.
Yeah.
So his power is he's the pound for pound probably one of the biggest punches in heavyweight history. But I'm talking about punch output. You just got to ask Joe Hanks. Joe nearly knocked Joe Hanks out with a jab. Joe is so heavy-handed, and I just think that he's going to get dejected in the fight, Stiverne. I'm not saying he's going to go down in one round, but I'm saying if Joe lands cleanly on your chin, he is in big trouble.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So what happens now between now and obviously the 23rd? What's going on now in camp for Joe?
Joe's just he's gone to the cinema today, so he's relaxing. Joe's so relaxed. I think you know Joe. He's so relaxed about everything. I get more nervous on fight nights than Joe. That's a fact. So I'm here with my other fighter, Guido Vianello. He's a heavyweight boxer who's just signed with Top Rank. He's got a fight in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We've got some more sparring partners coming next week. And look, Joe's fit. Joe's ready. If the fight was tomorrow, Joe's ready to go. Believe me, he's ready to go. I'm not just saying, I know all fight. Everyone says that, but he's ready to go tomorrow. So it's just it's all about keeping a lead on him, keeping him, do you know what I mean, sleeping good, and just getting ready for the fight.
Let's talk about Jarrell Miller. That was another fight that Joyce was calling out. I want Miller. I want Miller. What happened there?
Jarrell Miller doesn't want to fight Joe. It's as simple as that. Jarrell Miller said, I don't want to fight Joe because he's not ranked high enough. Joe's ranked 5th in the WBA. I think Jarrell Miller's ranked number 3. So he just simply doesn't want. Like I'm not just saying this, but like he's tailor made for Joe. He's tailor made. He gasses in 3 rounds. He's not a huge puncher. He's easy hit. He's tailor made for Joe, and it'd be a horrific night for him. So like you're not going to want to fight him. Like, he's close to a world. He's close to a world title fight, isn't he, with Joshua? Like I think it's between him and Dylan White. So you're not going to risk it. So I don't blame him for that. I know Jarrell Miller. I speak to him on the phone. I get on with him. Really, I get on with him. He's a nice guy. Very smart. He's a very, very smart man. So good luck to him. But sooner or later, he's going to have to fight him. They're both ranked. They're both they're 1 and 2 away from each other. So he's going to have to fight him at some point.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else within the British scene that you'd be interested in, like Daniel Dubois, Nathan Gorman?
you know yourself, like Nathan Gorman. I get again another. I'd say he's a friend of ours.
Yeah.
Nathan Gorman don't want to fight Joe, not yet. And I think he'd admit it himself. He doesn't want to fight Joe yet. He's got more learning to do. Daniel Dubois is, I believe, going to be a great fighter. I really believe that. He hits hard. He's got a tremendous jab. I think he's going to be a really good fighter, but he's not ready for Joe Joyce. And he knows that as well. He'd never say Joe's name in an interview because he knows he's not ready for him yet. But I'm not saying in a couple of years he won't be ready, because I think in a couple of years when he's a bit more, got more experience, because he left the amateur program without having any WSB experience like Joe or Fraser Clark. I personally believe Daniel Dubois should have stayed on for the Olympic cycle to try and get into the Olympics in Tokyo to gain more experience. So I really like watching Daniel Dubois. I'm actually a fan of watching him. I think he's a strong. I think he's going to be a real one for the future. But no way is he ready for Joe Joyce.
Alexander Usyk, where do you stand with Alexander Usyk? Obviously, Joyce and Usyk have shared the ring before.
Yeah. In the WSB, everyone refers back to Usyk beat Joe. Listen, Usyk is, in my opinion, a genius. I think he's a genius. Like, you see his movement, his hand speed, everything. He makes it look effortless. He's like a big Lomachenko, isn't he? He's brilliant. But my doubts of Usyk are not in the cruiserweight division, because he's cleared that up and he's as what they say nowadays, he's completed it. He's completed the mission, hasn't he? He's unified all the belts.
He's rinsed it.
Yeah, completed it, mate. He has. He's completed it. So my question is, do I think he could be in the ring with Anthony Joshua with 10-ounce gloves on, or Deontay Wilder? I think he could make all of the heavyweights, including Joe, look silly for 3 or 4 rounds. But what's going to happen when an 18-plus stone man is beginning to get you and beginning to catch you with small gloves? I don't believe he's going to have... I don't believe Usyk's got the talent. Do you know what I mean? He's an unbelievable fighter, so I don't want to be misquoted on this. Unbelievable fighter, probably pound for pound best. But against somebody like Joshua, Joe, Dylan White, even Dylan White, I don't believe he's going to be able to be big enough to take these guys 12 rounds. I could be horribly wrong, but that's just I'm not sold on it. I'm not saying he's not capable of it, but until I see him deal with a Dylan White or I don't know, name a big, strong, heavyweight, a Povetkin, a big, strong, heavy. That could be the fight, couldn't it?
Usyk and
Ukrainian and Russia, be a big fight in Russia. But until I see that, I won't be sold on it.
But okay, but they said the same thing about Evander Holyfield. They said the same thing about Roy Jones. They said the same thing about Roy Jones. They said the same.
Yeah, but the heavyweight division, when Roy Jones beat, was it John Ruiz?
But he was. I know you say that, but he was a big heavyweight. I mean,
I know he's a big heavyweight. I know he's a big heavyweight, but he was a limited big heavyweight, wasn't he?
He was.
Let's be honest, he was a big limit. John Ruiz was a tough man. Don't get me wrong, he's a tough man, but Usyk could beat somebody like that.
Yeah.
I think Usyk's beating the smaller heavyweights. Of course he is. I really do believe it. But I'm talking the big men, the Joshuas, the Wilders, the Tyson Fury. I don't believe he's even got a chance of beating someone like Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is just a big version of him.
Yeah. And why you're on the subject of Tyson Fury, because everyone talks about that. There's different stories about Tyson Fury and Joe Joyce. Some say Joe Joyce got the better of Tyson. Some say Tyson...
No, listen. That spar was competitive, and that's all it was. Tyson is a friend of mine for many years. So I said, Tyson, come and do your camp in Big Bear. Get yourself prepared. Spar Joe. I've got Guido Vianello. Very quick hands. Very, very quick hands with Guido. You ask anybody that watches Guido, really rapid hands. And I'm not going to charge him anything. It's just we're friends. Come and spar my guys, and they're getting a great experience out of it.
Yeah.
So the spars were just, listen, they were very, very competitive. Some days Tyson can frustrate any boxer in the world. I believe Tyson's the premier heavyweight in the world. That's my opinion. I believe he's the premier heavyweight in the world. And I think until somebody beats him, I won't be proven otherwise. I think Tyson's an in-ring genius. And I think people need, as I say, I think after the Wilder fight, you're going to got to start giving him credit. And I think with him, so as I say, with Joe sparring him, just getting a valuable experience.
Okay. One other guy I want to talk about is Vlad Tsarenko. You guys sparred with Vlad Tsarenko.
Oh, I like Vlad Tsarenko. I like him. Good, very nice kid.
What do you think of him? I mean, the sparring sessions I heard were pretty good between Joe Joyce and Vlad Tsarenko.
Who told you that?
Well, that's what I heard. I don't know how true they are.
Who'd you get that from? Your friend Stiverne?
Well, it would have been Stiverne, no. So that's my only friend, according to you.
Yeah. You're his pen pal, you are, aren't you? No.
Oh dear. Okay, fair enough. I'll take that one.
No, Vlad Serenko is a good fighter, but he's small. He's a small heavyweight, very small heavyweight.
Okay, so he's a good heavyweight, but pretty small.
Yeah, he's a small heavyweight. He's a small heavyweight. He's not a massive puncher, but he's going to be one of those guys where if you're no good, he'll beat you.
Okay, that's interesting. It's good insight. Talk to me about this fighter you've got now.
Guido Vianello.
Yeah, talk to me a bit about him.
1 second. Guido. Come here.
Oh, you're getting exclusive.
Come here. He's learning. His English is getting a lot better. So Guido came to spar Joe in London about 18 months ago.
Right.
But before that, Guido, when he went to the Olympics, was only how old? How old were you when you went to the Olympics? 22. Guido was only 22, and he had no sparring whatsoever. None. Absolutely no. Can you imagine going to the Olympics with no sparring? So, no, it's a genuine fact. So I signed Guido when he came to the gym and sparred Joe because, if I'm honest, he's the first person I've seen hold his own with Joe in a spar in David's gym. So he held his own, and Guido, say hello.
Hello.
Wow. Hi, how are we doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good. So you've got a fight coming up.
Good fight coming now.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'm ready, yes. With my big man.
Good to see you.
Yeah, that's him. So, so Guido's him and Joe are sparring. 2 days ago they sparred each other. I'm not joking. 10 rounds, 10 4-minute rounds with 30 seconds rest in between rounds at altitude. There's some serious going, and believe me, you'd pay good money to see them two. They live together, but they don't like each other when they spar.
Well, that's how it's got to be. Sam, is there anybody else in your camp that you've got?
I've got who just won Welsh Prospect of the Year, Cody Davis.
I did on your Twitter.
Yeah, so Cody Davis has just won Welsh Prospect of the Year. He's fighting on March the 10th against Morgan Jones for the Welsh title. So make sure you're on FS4, Welsh Channel 4.
Fantastic. Sam, is there anything else you'd like to let the viewers know, or
yeah. Yeah. Stop making friends with Bermain Stiverne. He chats porcupines. He does, honestly. Because you're really gonna turn down. You're gonna say, "Oh, you're not. You're upset that we're sparring Dominic Brazil." Well, don't turn him away, then, you big sack of potatoes.
So I guess it's going to get quite lively at the press conference then.
I don't know. Stiverne said he's going to turn up and I'm not doing any pantomime stuff. Well, he was all for the pantomime stuff at the Wilder one, wasn't he? I'm sure with Don King stood next to him, he's gonna. Don King said, "Heaven help Joe Joyce." So we'll see. We'll see about that. I think I don't know what year Don King's living in, but he's obviously not watched Joe fight.
It should be interesting stuff, Sam.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, isn't it? Like, however long the fight lasts, it's going to be a good fight because Joe doesn't go there to impress judges, does he? So hopefully, and I know it's chief support as well, which is well deserved.
Yeah,
deserved chief support bout. So hopefully everyone tunes in on ITV Box Office.
Let me ask you a question. For your first fight, you guys got Lewis and it was top of the bill. Why is this? Yeah. Why did you not? This fight could have been a top of the bill fight by itself, could it not? Don't you think?
Yeah, but look at it again. You've got the Barry from Barnsley's and the Greg from Stoke that's going to say, it's not a main event fight. Sitting there eating a Domino's pizza, telling everybody that's not a proper main event. So we're happy with it. It's chief support. Joe's coming home. He's coming off a big win on Showtime, and he's coming home to. But it's very important Joe doesn't lose connection with the British fans. So Joe asked to fight in the UK. So Joe could literally stay in America, earn very good money fighting in America. But he chose to come back and fight in the UK.
So, final question. between Joe and Stiverne, in your opinion, or Joyce, Joe Joyce's opinion, is it a bad blood fight? Is it a grudge match? Is that hype, or is that or just two guys are going to fight?
I think it's more two guys are going to have a fight. But look, again, Bermain Stiverne. To tell you, he reminds me of Bermain Stiverne. He looks exactly like him, and you're gonna. Do you remember Mark Henry from the wrestling? You know exactly what I mean. That's why you're trying to hold in your laugh, because he's the same personality as him as well. Just one big, angry, moody, large man. Do you know what I mean? Just so it's very hard to be it's very hard to say to be overly respectful. Like Joe just wants to punch. Joe just wants to teach him a lesson because he wants to school Joe. But believe me, Joe wants to show everyone who was lying.
Makes it interesting.
It makes it interesting as well. Who wants to see it? But no one wants to see in boxing. Nobody wants to see fighters going shake hands before the fight. They want to see that after the fight. So we'll see, won't we? But like Stiverne, my God, I'm sure you'll have another 5 interviews with him before the fight, Ingram. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Tell him. I give him my best wishes.
Oh my God. So you have a message. You'll give me your best wishes. Fine, fair enough.
Yeah. Tell him we'll take him for a steak after the fight.
You take me for a steak as well. Although I don't eat meat.
Hey, training camp's expensive out here, so you'll have to make do with a rump steak.
I don't eat meat, so it's fine. I can eat the vegetables.
Okay. Some kind of vegan main course.
Yeah, do that. Sam, thank you so much for talking to BWTM Online.
Thank you for having me.
We've appreciated you, and hey, we look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Yeah. Everyone tune in. ITV pay-per-view. You can't be missed.
Absolutely. Sam Jones, thank you so much once again.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Take care, chap. So there you have it. Sam Jones, the manager of Joe Joyce. So you guys make your minds up whether you thought Stiverne was saying what he was saying or Sam was saying what he was saying. Whatever happens, regardless of sparring stories, this is going to be a fight not to miss on ITV4. So that's it from us at BWTM. We'll see you soon. Take care.